Hey guys, and welcome back. In today's video, we are going to be talking about why Bitcoin is about to rally all the way up to $140,000 and beyond before the end of the year. In fact, in the next 60 days, I think that a massive rally is going to take place on Bitcoin. And today, we're first and foremost going to go over the technical reasons on the Bitcoin chart, why a major breakout is likely to happen anytime now. We're going to talk about the major levels that Bitcoin's trying to break through and why those breakouts might be happening in just the next few days. And we're also going to be looking at a litany of different fundamental reasons why a major breakout is coming very soon to Bitcoin. So if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Hey, before we get started, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to sign up for 2bit with the link in the description box down below. If you sign up for 2bit and you deposit $100, you will get access to our very own first cohort Discord server for free for a year. Over here, you can join all of our community who are trading and doing technical analysis and chatting every single day. So make sure to sign up for 2bit, deposit $100, and we'll get to more of that later. Now, let's get started. Bitcoin at the moment is trading at $116,400, and an absolutely beautiful setup is being built right now. The very first thing that we need to look at is the long-term picture, and then we'll zoom in. Over the last 7 years, we have seen Bitcoin build this massive uptrending level of resistance, which basically just connects the last two bull market peaks here and here. Now, there's a couple of things I want to point out about this. Some of these you may have heard, one of them you may not have. The first thing is that there was a line like this between the second bull market ago and the third bull market ago, i.e. the first bull market and the second bull market. That trend line looks something like this. And Bitcoin actually completely shattered that. This is the trend line between the all-time high here at $1,200 and the all-time high at $20,000. That trend line looks like this. It's completely broken. In fact, it gave us support during this pullback here back down to $50,000. It's no longer the trend line that we respect, and it is a trend line that was broken through in the last bull market. Now, fast forward, and what you have is a trend line that's very similar, just like this. And that's very much similar to the trend line that we saw here connecting the first and second bull market. It's very similar to the trend line that we're looking at right now connecting the second and the third bull market. Well, in the last bull market, we broke through this line, and we actually ended up rallying to about double the price of it. From $35,000, Bitcoin would go to $70,000. If Bitcoin did the same thing today, as we are in the middle, as we'll talk about in just a second, of breaking through this trend line, Bitcoin would double from here and rally up to over $230,000 this cycle. Now, it's very interesting because Bitcoin is doing something very similar right now to what we did during the last bull market. In the last bull market, when Bitcoin broke above this uptrending level of resistance, we rallied above it, fell back to back test it, and then we continue rallying even higher. That is exactly what we're doing right now. This uptrending level of resistance, which connects our two bull markets ago top at 20K, our most recent bull market at 70K, and then multiple tops that we've seen over the last several months here, this trend line is actually very important on the short-term time frames as well. This trend line is right here. This is our 7-year-long resistance trend line. And as you can see, Bitcoin spent a grand total of 20 days above that trend line here between the 10th of July when we originally broke out about a month ago to 123 and the 31st of July when we broke back below that trend line. In other words, Bitcoin was for a time finding support on that trend line. Then we broke through it. Now we're back up above it. And as we speak, Bitcoin is back testing that trend line right now. That's right. Down on the 1-hour chart, a trend line that's been in play for a decade is our support. How absolutely beautiful is that? You can see even right now, our support level is at approximately $116,250, which also coincides very nicely with our flat level of support that we've been discussing here at $115,800. Now, we've got a lot that we need to dig into today. This is just the first of many pieces of technical analysis that we're going to go over. But the point here is that Bitcoin is in the middle of breaking through one of the most powerful uptrending levels of resistance that Bitcoin has ever seen. We did break through it for 20 days. We're in the process of breaking back up above it. And if we're able to hold above this trend line, then it means the sky's the limit and we're most likely going to see a big breakout. So let's continue to investigate. Is Bitcoin going to break through this trend line? In other words, is it going to stay above this trend line? And is there a fundamental reason that Bitcoin would continue on a major rally up to $140,000 to $150,000 before the end of the year? I think absolutely so let's keep going here. One of the things I want to talk about is the visible range volume profile. We actually hit the point of control that we've been discussing at length here on the channel yesterday, exactly on the nose. We've talked about how $117,900 is going to be an important level of resistance as it represents the point of control. This was the exact level that Bitcoin stopped out at yesterday when we rallied up to the point of control. You can see if we just kind of draw right there, that's the exact level. If we draw a horizontal line here at the point of control at 117.95, excuse me, it's the exact level that we hit. If you'll recall, yesterday I said that the point of control on the last month or so of price action is the first of two gateways back to all-time high. We have not yet broken through that gateway, and we still need to get through the Fibonacci golden pocket here at 0.618 to 0.65, but we're close. And so now Bitcoin finds itself positioned very interestingly. We are finding resistance at the point of control, and we are finding support at this uptrending level of support that has been in play for 7 years. That means that Bitcoin is in a very narrow neutral zone, very narrow no man's land. Below this uptrend, Bitcoin is bearish. Above this flat level of resistance on the point of control, Bitcoin is bullish. In other words, if Bitcoin is below 116, that means that we're bearish and we're likely going back to 112. If we break up above 118, then we're bullish and we're probably going to 140. So what does Bitcoin do? Because $2,000 is not a very big range, and we have extremely valuable and strong resistance and support bracketing us on either side. Well, this is where we need to look at the fundamentals, and we also need to look at a lot of other technicals. One of the things that I'm very excited about on the Bitcoin chart is that we are in the middle of building a bull market rally. And we're doing that through the convergence of the moving average convergence divergence, the MACD. Ever since we dropped down to 112, we've had a great deal of convergence here. And that means that we're most likely going to see a bullish MACD cross at some point in the next couple of days. You can also see that we broke above the 14 interval moving average here on the RSI, which is a very bullish signal indeed. This is something that we've seen play out many times. I've represented the last 5 major times here on our chart with these vertical lines. The last 5 major times that we've seen bullish MACD crosses look a little bit like this. You will notice that when the bullish MACD cross takes place above the zero line on the histogram, that a lot of times that rally is not very large. But whenever that MACD cross happens pretty close to the histogram, sometimes that rally will take off. So it's a bit of a mixed signal, right? Some of these bullish MACD crosses here have signaled that consolidation is still going on. Some of them have signaled that there's a major rally about to come. In general, it's kind of difficult to tell just from the MACD, but what we do know is that generally speaking, it is a good sign if MACD is crossing bullish, even if it might be a fake out and MACD needs to go lower. In other words, 118 could break here if we have the MACD bullish cross, but there's also a chance that we make a lower low, and all of the predictions that we're about to make here in just a minute just get kind of kicked into the future a little while. On top of that, the RSI is very, very bullish indeed. And we also, one last thing to mention here is that we do have this uptrending level of support that Bitcoin touched twice over the last week and held and has currently respected. This does mean that if you're in a long trade, there are some very obvious places to place your stop losses, below this uptrend and below this uptrend, because if we do break through those levels, this is why I was warning you if you're in a long trade over the last few days, that you're not out of the woods yet. If we do start falling back below 116, then that's where a retest of 112 down to 110 is extremely likely. But I'm leaning away from that at this point. I'm starting to lean conservatively in the bullish direction. And part of that has to do with what's going on the altcoins. I want to switch gears here and talk about Ethereum for just a minute before we get back to Bitcoin, because this morning, Ethereum, for the first time in months, actually broke above $4,000. It was only for a few minutes, but Ethereum did break briefly above $4,000. This might not seem like a big deal since we fell right back below 4K, but it does show that the order books are very thin up here. The atmosphere, the sky is getting very thin up here. There's not a massive amount of sell pressure at 4K, and there's not a sell wall at $4,000. That means that the possibility of Ethereum going through a major rally above 4K is highly probable. And the reason that that's so important is because Bitcoin is not necessarily in this super bullish camp yet. It's not like it's about to just absolutely moonshot straight to 141 today. It might happen in the next few weeks, but right now Bitcoin needs to get above 118 before we can confidently be on the side of the bulls. That said, the Bitcoin.D, Bitcoin dominance chart is showing that Bitcoin is losing dominance. So why does that matter? Well, if Bitcoin is losing dominance and Ethereum is breaking $4,000, then Bitcoin, we don't need to worry about it, because Ethereum is going through the breakout. Bitcoin's just pausing. It's possible we're about to see another another impulse of the altcoin engine, where the altcoins are going to take the lead and they're going to take the pressure off of Bitcoin for a little while so that it can continue to consolidate. This could possibly lead Bitcoin to trading sideways between 112 to 118 for a month, while you see Ethereum rally back to $5,000. That doesn't mean Bitcoin's bearish. That just means that Bitcoin's kind of sitting on its hand waiting for its turn. And then at that point, when Ethereum's going through a major rally and Bitcoin hasn't moved, you can basically guarantee that a big Bitcoin rally is about to happen, because the momentum is in Ethereum. Once Ethereum loses this momentum, it's going to move over into Bitcoin, which at this point would be undervalued, because Bitcoin dominance might drop down here to, say, 58% or even lower if you were to see an ETH movement. So in other words, if Bitcoin does have trouble staying above 116, but at the same time, Ethereum's breaking above 4K, then we don't need to worry about Bitcoin going through some big flash crash. It's just that it's not Bitcoin's turn. Now, speaking of it being Bitcoin's turn, something that we need to talk about is Trump. Trump has made a few very interesting moves in the last couple of days that are going to have a big impact on the Bitcoin market. One of the first ones is that Trump is now tariffing gold. There are two different major tariffs going on right now that impact gold. The first of which is a tariff basically directly on gold, specifically coming out of Switzerland. And this person, Spencer Hackymane here, believes that that's going to send gold to $5,000. It probably will. And we also have a tariff, I don't have an image for it, but we also have a 37%, might be 39, I think it's 39% tariff that was just slapped on Switzerland, which is interesting because it's one of the highest tariffs that Trump has placed on any nation so far. And Switzerland is theoretically an ally of ours. They're theoretically a good friend of ours. Why would you put a 40% tariff on Switzerland? Well, it just so happens that 70% of global bullion is stored in Swiss banks. A massive amount of gold is sitting in Switzerland, which means that if it leaves Switzerland and comes into the United States, it's going to have a massive tariff placed on it, which means that if the United States and its gold holders that hold an IOU of gold, but they don't hold the physical gold, want to repatriate the gold, they're going to have to pay a 39% tariff on that, which would lead to a massive rally on the price of gold because of geopolitical and economic forces, not necessarily because of the strength of gold. This shows us how weak the United States dollar is, and it also could possibly be setting the United States up to revalue our gold at a higher value, because through this tariff, you send the spot price of gold higher, revalue the gold. All of a sudden, we say we have $1 trillion more of gold than we had because the value's gone up so much. We haven't revalued the gold in decades. At that point, you now have Trump's budget neutral way of buying Bitcoin. Okay, we got $1 trillion more of gold than we had. Let's go ahead and offload some of that or take a loan out against it or something. And then all of a sudden, you have a budget neutral way of buying Bitcoin for the Bitcoin National Reserve. So this is something that we want to keep a very close eye on, how Trump is treating gold, how Trump is treating Switzerland. It has a lot to do with Bitcoin. It's not something that we can safely ignore. Now, something else that we need to talk about here from Trump is the recent 401k development. Again, I don't have an image for this, but I want to go over this. Trump recently, in fact, yesterday, signed an executive order allowing for 401ks to invest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency products, and even encouraging them to do so. Now, this is a reversal of a 2022 ruling that the Biden administration had put in place, which basically discouraged retirement vehicles such as 401ks from investing in cryptocurrencies, citing them as extremely volatile, right? So the sentiment has shifted a great deal. Now you have the United States federal government pushing 401ks in the direction of adopting Bitcoin. Well, I ran some math. The United States invests about $600 billion annually into their 401k plans. There's about 91 million Americans that invest in their employer's 401k policy, and they invest cumulatively about $50 billion a month. A 1% allocation to Bitcoin through the IBIT ETF or through the Fidelity ETF or through physical Bitcoin inside of an ETF vehicle would be $500 million a month worth of inflows. Even a 0.5% of 401k inflows would be $250 million a month of inflows that are set on autopilot. Typically, people are not actively managing their 401k. They just set it and they forget it. And so if you start to see Gen Zers and millennials, even some younger Gen Xers that really understand Bitcoin, but they're also in their prime earning season, start to allocate 1% to Bitcoin, you could see tens or hundreds of millions of dollars flowing into Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs within just the next year or so after this development has come out. This is a massive, massive, massive win for Bitcoin. And I also want to point out that this is something that BlackRock was lobbying for. BlackRock themselves was lobbying and trying to get Trump and the United States federal government to push 401ks to be able to accept cryptocurrency ETFs. Why? Because the IBIT ETF happens to be one of the most successful ETFs in the history of the United States stock market. So, of course, BlackRock, having billions of dollars under management, trillions of dollars under management, is going to lobby for 401ks, which currently represent about $12 trillion of wealth, to be able to invest in cryptocurrency. I could very easily see this increasing the inflows into the IBIT ETF by 25% within a year, potentially from $1 billion a month, like we are seeing right now, to $1.2 to $1.5 billion a month. This is a big, big, big deal, and it just shows that the race to acquire more Bitcoin is on, and it's going to continue ever higher. Now, a couple more things we want to talk about. I know we got a lot to talk about today. One other thing we want to talk about is that this is just another piece of the kind of perfect storm picture that I'm trying to paint for you. It is becoming extremely likely that we're going to see a rate cut in September. This comes for a multitude of reasons. Number one, U.S. CPI has dropped down to about 1.8%. We've had these interest rates that we currently sit on here at 4.25 to 4.5. We've had these since the COVID era, when we were seeing 6 and 7% inflation. So if we are seeing true inflation of 1.8%, at least what's being reported and used by the Fed and by the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics, then why do we have interest rates at 4.25%? It doesn't make any sense. And Jay Powell probably understands that. And so there is going to be a rate cut, most likely in September, and if not, there will almost certainly be a rate cut at the next meeting, which would be in October. Worst case scenario, Jay Powell is out mid of next year, and at that point, you'll probably see the effective federal funds rate drop down to 2% from 4%. This is going to do a lot of things for the U.S. economy. Number one, it's going to bring mortgage rates down, which means that that property values are going to skyrocket, which means people are going to have more equity, and then that equity is going to be something that allows them to reinvest, because some people are going to take HELOCs out. Some people are going to take reverse mortgages out, and they're going to spend it. It's going to increase GDP growth. And you're also going to see companies, when the effective federal funds rate goes down, they are going to have cheaper cost of capital, which allows them to invest more aggressively, because the 2% that they would have been spending on interest, they are now able to spend on reinvesting into their business. This is going to lead to a lot of people buying Bitcoin on cheap debt. If you can get a 4% mortgage here in the next few years, people are going to take out second mortgages and follow Michael Saylor's advice and buy Bitcoin with it. It's going to lead to a massive rally in the stock market, in the real estate market, and in the cryptocurrency market. So you're seeing this perfect storm build up, where M2 money supply is skyrocketing. We have access to 401ks now. We have Switzerland being tariffed, so gold prices are going to shoot up. If gold prices go up, Bitcoin tracks with gold prices. Gold moves slower than Bitcoin, but generally at the same time as Bitcoin. So if gold's going to skyrocket, Bitcoin's going to skyrocket too. I think I already mentioned M2 money supply skyrocketing. We're going to see a CME future, not CME futures, I'm sorry, a Fed rate cut coming in September. And then you also have, as we talked about, this kind of gateway to $140,000 here of $118,000. If we break through this, we have a bullish MACD cross. You see Ethereum break through $4,000, and you start to see an altcoin cycle happen. Everything starts to kind of come together into alignment. And so this brings me to my 100th and final point, which is that there's a massive amount of liquidations that are going to happen soon. If you look at the liquidation heat map over here on CoinGlass.com, you're going to see that there are a massive amount of short positions that are going to get liquidated. I mean, I'm talking billions of dollars of short positions that are going to get liquidated here between about $118,000 and $122,000. If you look at the last month and you look at all these liquidations, there's upwards of $6 billion of cumulative short liquidations that will be triggered if we see a rally up here. So if we start breaking through 119, 120, 121, you're going to see billions of dollars of short liquidations. And so if you're new to leverage trading and futures trading and you don't understand how that works, when a short gets liquidated, that means that the short seller is forced to buy to cover the position. So when a short gets liquidated, that is mandatory, forced buying that is being done through the exchanges. And remember, buying over the counter, what the institutions are doing, doesn't affect the price. Buying on the exchanges, however, does. And so when you start to see people getting liquidated on big exchanges, you're going to see the price just skyrocket. And so we have, again, this perfect storm scenario where there's so much bullishness going on in the fundamentals that you're starting to get this kind of beach ball held underwater effect, where people are dumb enough to be shorting Bitcoin right now, but they just don't understand that they're going to get absolutely wrecked for doing that. And so that major region, again, is between about 119.5 and about 122. If Bitcoin starts breaking through there, it's a little bit like when you're playing Mario Kart, you know what I'm saying? And you got that like little green box with the arrows on it and you accelerate. That's kind of what happens when Bitcoin hits this range of about 119.5 to 122. It's like an aerial faceplate from Portal 2. You know what I mean? Like it just boom, it's just going to launch you because all of these liquidations are going to get triggered and it's going to send us absolutely skyrocketing. So, to give a quick recap, so many bullish things going on. 401k contributions, M2 money supply growing, tariffs on gold, which is going to send gold spot price through the moon. If you're a gold bug right now, you're going to think you're rich. You're about to see, you're about to see a huge amount of growth in Bitcoin because of these short liquidations. You're about to see a rate cut coming from the Fed. This is a perfect storm scenario that leads Bitcoin into a beautiful, beautiful rally up to about $140,000. So, where do I get the $140,000 level from? Well, a lot of that comes from the inverse head and shoulders pattern that we have here. This inverse head and shoulders pattern right here, if you go ahead and draw an extrapolation off of it, that level is pointing at $155,000. There's several other models that I don't have time to go into today because this video is already so long that are pointing at about $140,000. One of them is the energy level. You can calculate the underlying intrinsic value of Bitcoin based off of how much energy is going into the mining. Right now, that is pointing to about 140,000. There's some other power laws that are pointing at about 140,000 right now. But needless to say, we are in the linear growth phase of the bull market. Either that continues and we go into super cycle, or we blow off top and we go to $250,000, $200,000 to $250,000 at some point in the next 6 months, and then we have a bear market. But either way, Bitcoin's about to grow a lot. It's very, very, very highly likely that we're about to see a massive rally on Bitcoin. And I'm very excited about that. So you guys tell me what you think in the comment section down below. Do you believe that a major rally is about to come to Bitcoin? I personally do. I think that Bitcoin is about to go through a massive rally, and I want to be set up to trade it, and I love trading with you guys. And so that is why I created the first cohort Discord server, and I have loved trading with you guys. Look at this guy. Up 54.9% on ADA. This guy just joined today. Shout out to Greg. He's up several $100s. Very excited about that. We have another one that I pinned up here. This guy, ASAP Lewis, made $3,000, up 1,000% on his trade. If you want to come join our Discord server and learn alongside our community about how to trade, this is the #1 trading community in the entire world. I would love for you to be there. Here's how you can get in for free. If you sign up for 2Bit with the link in the description box down below, you will be able to get access to a bunch of really great bonuses. Click the first link, might be the second link in the description box down below. When you deposit $100 onto 2Bit after you've signed up, you are going to be able to get into the first cohort Discord server for free for a year. All you have to do is send a screenshot of your $100 deposit to MalachiPats@CryptoJeb.com. He's our community manager and sales manager. He will respond by giving you a coupon code that will give you the first year of the first cohort server off for free, again, for a year. That's a $419 value that I'm going to give to you for free just for signing up for 2Bit and trading on 2Bit alongside us. When you sign up for 2Bit, you'll be helping to support the channel, and you'll be getting access to an absolutely phenomenal exchange. One of the things I love the most about 2Bit, I'll just go ahead and tell you this real quick, is their mobile interface is fantastic. It is so easy to come onto 2Bit and do your trading and do your analysis and everything right here from your phone. I love it. I love the chart. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I just love the mobile interface. I don't think you're going to be able to see this. But the mobile yeah, you can't see it. But the mobile interface is just fantastic. It's absolutely spectacular. It's really good. You can kind of come here and do your drawing. You can take it sideways, and again, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but you can take it yeah, you can't see it, but you can take it sideways here and do all of your charting. It's just phenomenal. I just love it so much. So 2Bit's a great exchange, the best cryptocurrency perps futures exchange that I've ever used. So I highly recommend it. Sign up for 2Bit, get access to the best exchange in the game. They got like 3.7 million users. It's not a small exchange. It's growing very quick. $20 billion a day in volume. So big exchange, growing quick, great user interface. Sign up, deposit $100. You're going to get access to a great exchange. You're going to get the first cohort Discord server for free for a year. And I look forward to meeting you. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Do you agree with all of our analysis, all of our facts, our data? Where do you think Bitcoin's going? Do you agree with my conclusion that Bitcoin is kind of a coiled spring ready to explode? I think that we're ready to rally up to 135, 140, and that might be in 2 days, that might be in 2 months. I'm not exactly sure, but I do feel like it's coming, and I feel like it's coming soon. So you tell me, where do you believe Bitcoin is going? I really appreciate all of you for being here. If you want to see this video early, then also make sure to join the first cohort, because this video will be going out in the first cohort 2 hours early 2 hours earlier than it will be for the rest of YouTube. So if you want to get access to our content early, then definitely sign up for the first cohort. That's another reason. I love you very much. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace. That was a good one.